I gently approached the bed. I was struck by the frightful change in her face. The sick girl did not know me. Motionless before her, it was long ere I understood the words of Father Gerasim and his wife, who apparently were trying to comfort me. Gloomy thoughts overwhelmed me. The position of a poor orphan left solitary and friendless in the power of rascals filled me with fear, while my own powerlessness equally distressed me, but Trebrine above all, filled me with alarm. Invested with all power by the usurper, and left master in the fort, with the unhappy girl, the object of his hatred, he was capable of anything. What should I do? How could I help her? How deliver her? Only in one way, and I embraced it. It was to start with all speed for Orenburg, so as to hasten the recapture of Belogorsk, and to aid in it if possible. I took leave of the Pope and of Akulina Pamfilovna, recommending warmly to them her whom I already regarded as my wife. I seized the hand of the young girl and covered it with tears and kisses. "Goodbye," the Pope's wife said to me, as she led me away. "Goodbye, Petr Andreevich, perhaps we may meet again in happier times." Don't forget us, and write often to us. Except you, poor Marya Ivanovna has no longer stay or comforter. Out in the square I stopped a minute before the gallows, which I respectfully saluted, and I then took the road to Orenburg, accompanied by Savelich, who did not forsake me. As I thus went along, deep in thought, I heard all at once a horse galloping behind me. I turned round, and saw a Cossack coming up from the fort, leading a Bashkir horse, and making signs to me from afar to wait for him. I stopped, and soon recognized our Uriadnik. After joining us at a gallop, he jumped from the back of his own horse, and handing me the bridle of the other. "Your lordship," said he, "our father makes you a present of a horse, and a pelissa from his own shoulder." On the saddle was slung a plain sheepskin touloup. "And, besides," added he, hesitatingly, "he gives you a half-rouble, but I have lost it by the way, kindly excuse it." Savelich looked askance at him. "You have lost it by the way," said he, "and pray what is that which jingles in your pocket, barefaced liar that you are?" Jingling in my pocket? Replied the Uriadnik, not a whit disconcerted. God forgive you, old man, 'tis a bridle bit, and never a half rouble. Well? Well? Said I, putting an end to the dispute. Thank from me he who sent you, and you may as well try as you go back to find the lost half rouble and keep it for yourself. Many thanks, your lordship, said he, turning his horse round, I will pray God forever for you. With these words, he started off at a gallop, keeping one hand on his pocket, and was soon out of sight. I put on the touloup and mounted the horse, taking up Savelich behind me. Don't you see, your lordship, said the old man, that it was not in vain that I presented my petition to the robber? The robber was ashamed of himself, although this long and lean Bashkir horse and this peasant's touloup be not worth half what those rascals stole from us, nor what you deign to give him as a present, still they may be useful to us. From an evil dog be glad of a handful of hairs. Chapter 10 The Siege. As we approached Orenburg we saw a crowd of convicts with cropped heads, and faces disfigured by the pincers of the executioner. They were working on the fortifications of the place under the pensioners of the garrison. Some were taking away in wheelbarrows the rubbish which filled the ditch, others were hollowing out the earth with spades. Masons were bringing bricks and repairing the walls. The sentries stopped us at the gates to demand our passports. When the sergeant learnt that we came from Fort Belogorsk, he took us direct to the general. I found him in his garden. He was examining the apple trees which the breath of autumn had already deprived of their leaves, and, with the help of an old gardener, he was enveloping them in straw. His face expressed calm, good humor and health. He seemed very pleased to see me, and began to question me on the terrible events which I had witnessed. I related them. The old man heard me with attention, and, while listening, cut the dead branches. Poor Myrnov, said he, when I had done my sad story, 'tis a pity. He was a goat officer. And Matame Myrnov, she was a goat lady and first-rate at pickled mushrooms. And what became of Masha, the captain's daughter? I replied that she had stayed in the fort, At the Pope's house. I, said the general. That's bad. Very bad. It is quite impossible to count on the discipline of robbers. I drew his attention to the fact that Fort Belogorsk was not very far away, and that probably His Excellency would not delay dispatching a detachment of troops to deliver the poor inhabitants. The general shook his head with an air of indecision. We shall see. We shall see, said he. We have plenty of time to talk about it. I beg you will come and take tea with me. This evening there will be a council of war. You can give us exact information about that rascal Pugachev and his army. Now in the meantime go and rest. I went away to the lodging that had been assigned me, and where Savaliich was already installed. There I impatiently awaited the hour fixed. The reader may well believe I was anxious not to miss this council of war, which was to have so great an influence on my life. I went at the appointed hour to the general's, where I found one of the civil officials of Orenburg, the head of the customs, if I recollect right, a little old man, fat and red-faced, dressed in a coat of watered silk. He began questioning me on the fate of Ivan Kuzmich, whom he called his gossip, and he often interrupted me by many questions and sententious remarks, which if they did not show a man versed in the conduct of war, yet showed that he was possessed of natural wit, and of intelligence. During this time the other guests had assembled,